Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Minnesota Camper. I am John from Hilltop Camper and RV in Minnesota. If you're joining us from around the country, we have 4 locations in Minnesota and Fridley, which is in the Twin Cities area, also Alexandria, Brainerd, and Rochester. And today we're going to be talking about solar because we know a lot of you have a lot of questions about solar all the time. Some really good questions. It can be very confusing, very difficult. I'll tell you, as somebody who was new to the industry just a few years ago, it was one of the most difficult things to grab a concept of. And even when some folks come in sometimes who really know their stuff, and there are those of you that are out there that really know your stuff, we'll go, hey, Chris, our guy Chris in the shop, he's the guy that can talk on this high level. There aren't many people that are able to do it, but there is one guy that's able to do it with us here today. That's Stephen Clifton from Renogy. He is going to join us in just a second, but I did want to tell you that this is a Q&A. So we'll have questions for Stephen. We've got plenty of them. I just asked him off air just before we started if he's got plenty of time because there are so many questions. But you're more than welcome to submit your questions if you'd like, and we'll try to get those if we can. And without further ado, we bring in from Renogy, Stephen Clifton. Hi, Stephen. How you doing, man?
Hey, Mr. John, doing great. And yourself?
Oh man, awesome! So excited about this. Really been wanting to do this for a long time, and I know it's kind of your everyday deal and what you do, but hopefully we'll educate a lot of folks here today on your product. How long have you been with Renogy?
Definitely. Yeah, I've been with Renogy coming up on 7/11. Actually, tomorrow is going to be 9 years. So I've
Wow.
been with the company almost a decade, seen a lot of growth within the company at the same time within the industry as well, So I know a little bit about a lot.
Yes, yes. And you spend your time touring around the country teaching people, right?
Correct. Yeah. So the last 3 years, my current role at Renogy is the product solutions training manager. So I go out to all the partners with Renogy, all our dealers. I've actually been to your Hilltop locations and
Yes.
done product training. So yeah, throughout the country, and just making sure we're kind of closing that gap, between what we're hearing from the internet, what we're seeing coming from the factory, and kind of the needs from the customer as well, especially in these camper and RV world. So I love doing the training. I love being that, you know, uh, breaking down the information on the solar side, the electricity side, and just, like I said, bridging that gap and make sure everyone has a clear understanding.
I recall telling you when you came through our building that I think I learned more from you in the first 5 minutes of listening to you than in the first 3 years of being in the RV industry. So we're excited to get started here today. You ready for question number 1 for you?
Yeah, let's do it. Shoot it my way.
All right. First question we got here today. How have bifacial solar panels changed the game in solar for RVs? And can you explain what bifacial solar panels are and do?
Yeah, definitely. So the bifacial panels, they're the next step up in the technology of solar panels. And typically, solar panels have a white silicone backing. And what we did with the bifacial panels is we basically removed that white silicone backing, and now it's translucent. So now the panel, in essence, is kind of see-through. So not only is it going to capture the sunlight directly on the front, but now it's going to capture some on the back as well. So as you guys know, in the mobile applications, we're very limited on how much solar we can get, on our roof. So having a little bit more efficiency, having a little bit more capturing of sunlight with the panel is really optimal. So we've seen, great feedback, coming our way from all our dealers and all of our users as well with the bifacial panels. The cost isn't that big of a difference, and you're able to get that much more and garnish that much more out of the sun with the bifacial technology.
Yeah, those are also somebody that has solar at home might be familiar with too. I think that's available for people's homes as well, right? The not that
Correct.
yeah,
Yeah, it's widely they're huge now, it's definitely going across the board in the whole industry, and it just makes that much more sense. The panel's up there, might as well make it, as efficient as possible to capture as much light as possible.
well, the solar industry in relationship to RVs is all about expectation, right? I mean, that's kind of what I've seen. I see people coming to our lot who say, we really want to get off the grid, so we need a solar panel. And they think that's their solution. And that's where you go, oh, man, I got to tell you something. I got to break the news to you here.
Mm.
You also get the people that are looking to buy a camper and they realize, oh, honey, this comes with solar. So now we can do anything we want. Expectation, expectation, expectation. So if people want to be, you want to go camping, I think everybody knows how to do that and plug in and all that kind of stuff. But if their dream is to be able to go anywhere, anytime, how are they able to do that? How can I go off grid with solar? And oh, by the way, I have a feeling you're going to mention batteries in here somewhere too.
Yeah, that's key. That's a big misconception, and that's what kind of leaves that sour taste in some customers' mouth with solar with their first experience because they have a misunderstanding. Either they were overpromised and underdelivered, and it's not keeping up with their demands. They're like, oh, like Fourth of July weekend. We just passed. But let's go out to the desert. Let's go enjoy. Running whatever the fridge the whole time. Maybe turning on the air conditioner a little bit. Unfortunately, yeah, one solar panel is definitely not going to be able to cut it. It's the battery bank. That's definitely key. And I do have a little visual that I could share here. So let me pull that up. And that's, we just want to make sure that from our end, and especially on the dealer end, that we're setting those expectations. We want to make sure that we're very clear cut, black and white. This is what you're going to get out of it, but the battery bank is key. The battery bank is definitely the heart and soul of these off-grid systems. And we want to do is tie in as many charging sources as possible to really keep up with the demands of those off-grid living styles, especially. Nowadays all these RVs and trailers are coming with more and more bells and whistles. So what we want to do is try to keep up with that. These are the solutions that we basically provide. Solar is one aspect. Solar is one charging source. We tie in three charging sources in these dealer kits. These are the ones that we have directly with our partners with Hilltop. And you can see we have solar up here. That's our first charging source. Our second charging source is our DC to DC charger. This unit's fantastic. It's basically tying into your starter battery, and when you're driving down the road, it's going to send a very hefty charge. This is the 60 amp unit. So 60 amps of charge back to that battery bank when you're driving down the road. And then, of course, the third charging source is going to be that inverter charger. When you have grid power available, you can plug in, recharge those batteries, and then you can use that for pass through as well. So a system like this with a pretty hefty battery bank is typically what we're going to recommend for those off grid scenarios. You're going to be able to recharge those batteries in any case scenario.
Okay, so I got to tell you that. Oh, there we go. So you are my first ever guest to bring up their own graphics. So feel free to boss me around. It's just say, John, pull up that one or take away that one.
Okay,
That's totally allowed here. Good stuff.
cool.
Let's see here. Again, if you do have your own questions, you're more than welcome to submit those as well. But we talk about the battery is so critical. But somebody goes into an RV shop and they don't know what exactly they need in relationship to what you're just talking about right here. And my next question, sorry, is how to determine how many solar panels that I need.
Definitely. And that's, kind of an open-ended question. There's a couple different factors we want to look into. First of all, how much space do we have? How much roof space do we have? What can we put on the roof? Sometimes you're limited. There's air conditioner units. Some of the older units have like satellites. You have a lot of stuff on the roof. So you're only going to be able to put so much solar on the roof. So that's A. And at the same time, how much battery, what are we trying to do? We're trying to replenish that battery as efficiently as possible. So we basically want to maximize the roof space, as much as possible, and that's going to be able to really, assist with keeping up with a lot of these high demands, especially when you're camping in these off-grid scenarios when it's sunny. So. Um, we could do the math and say, hey, if you have this much battery powers, this is how much solar you can go with. And typically when you're in a more stationary setup, if you're at your house or your cabin, we can do that and we can size up a very appropriate solar system. In this case, we're basically going to say, hey, let's put a battery bank. Let's try to put as much solar as we can. And that's kind of why we have these different kits that we put together. We have the 220-watt kit comes with one panel, the 440 comes with two, so on and so forth, all the way up to six panels. So it really depends on, do you have a class A, do you have a class B, do you have a big, what are we trying to install it on? And then we could kind of recommend, the best kit for those demands and for that size setup.
So I got to put in a plug for Chris in particular in our shop. He is well known around our shop. He's known among folks in the RV industry because he's just absolutely unbelievable. That's the beauty of coming to Hilltop, by the way. If you have serious solar questions, if you really know your stuff or you don't know anything, you really need to know a lot, man, Chris is a great resource and he can do anything that you need from a solar standpoint. I know that he worked on a project one time. They had 11 solar panels on the roof, and I he's had that question before. How much solar can you do? And he told him just what you told him, like how much room do you have on the roof?
Mhm.
Um, I don't know what your record is for how many you've seen on a roof.
Yeah, I've seen about the same, somewhere around
Yeah.
12, and yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're driving down the road and you really want to maximize that off-grid experience, you're not looking at your roof, you're not up there. So let's
Yeah.
just, let's trick it out. Let's put it as much solar that we can, and then you're really set up for most scenarios.
Yeah. So I would say if you want to get it set up by a professional, no better place truly to get it done than Hilltop. But going to the next question and kind of talking about what you were talking about a little bit there with the kits, can I install solar panels myself?
Yeah, definitely. And you know, this is a question that we get a lot to consumers all the time. And yeah, I mean, it is doable, but at the same time, with a lot of this is, more of on the DIY side for people that already have started building out, their van or RV from scratch. So they already have a little bit of experience, and they know what they put into that RV or into that van. Now, some of these RVs, trailers, and vans that are coming from the factory, it's not so easy. There's a lot of bells and whistles in a lot of these RVs, and you want to make sure that you're installing the solar, correctly. You're installing it adequately. You're pairing it up with the, correct charge controller, the correct wire size. There's a lot of factors that come to play that you want to make sure you're doing it safe. At the same time, you're doing it by these standards. And yeah, on that note, I mean, I've been to so many different dealers throughout the country, and yeah, I've met Chris. He definitely was one of the most knowledgeable on the solar side. And not to toot your guys' horn, but yeah, a Hilltop is definitely one of the best promoters and installers on the solar side from our standpoint. So anytime we have customers out in that Minnesota area, we're saying, hey, go check out Hilltop. They could definitely assist you.
Well, we do appreciate that. And let's go back to the basics a little bit because we talked about installation and doing it on an RV. Well, most all RVs now at least come with solar prep. Many of them come with at least one solar panel on them now. But the next question is, how do I know if my RV is prepped for solar?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, from the factory, there's a couple different, setups. It depends on which tier, how much you're dropping, into that RV or trailer. And some of them come with solar. Some of them come with solar and a lithium battery. Some of them come with solar on the side port. So the best thing we recommend is to, pull up your user manual of, the RV that you bought. Look at what it came with, and then you can kind of identify what you have, and then we could kind of identify exactly if we can upgrade from your existing system. If hey, if you want to get a bigger system, we may have to take everything out and start fresh, just because if you want to have like a bigger system, a lot of these um solar coming from the OEM are typically smaller systems. You're going to get like a 50-watt or 100-watt solar panel. It's really nothing to write home about, but at the same time, it's a good little trickle charger. So sometimes if we want to upgrade to like from 100 watts to like an 1,000-watt system, then we got to look into upgrading the wires internally, make sure we have thick enough wires to handle that solar setup, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I mean, the best thing we recommend is just looking at the literature of your RV, identifying what you have, and then going to your dealership and letting them know, hey, this is what you got to let them know what you're doing, because solar and off-grid energy is a very I would say it's opening Pandora's box, and there's not one answer for everybody. Every customer, John knows, that goes in there, they all have different uses and needs. Some people have kids, some people are very eco-friendly, some people go glamping, some people have medical needs, whatever it may be. So you have to let Hilltop know exactly what you guys need, and then it's kind of reverse engineering. Great, based on those needs, this is the battery bank, and let's put solar, let's put this much solar, let's try to maximize, and then adding on the other components as well.
There's also something called portable solar or a solar blanket. You may see many of our Jayco products, for example, have just a little pin somewhere on the RV where you can actually plug in a little what they call solar blanket, and it just charges directly to the battery, and it goes along with our next question. When is, or I call it side solar. When is side solar a good option?
Definitely, yeah. So most scenarios, I recommend if you do have a setup, installing that solar side port is a good additional thing to add into solar if you don't have it, or if it does come from the OEM. Getting that solar suitcase or solar blanket on the side is ideal because I mean it's kind of counterintuitive. Hey, I'm gonna go camping, but I'm gonna park in the direct sunlight to get solar production. At that point you're just soaking up the heat. Your whole RV is going to be hot. You're going to be cranking on the air, so on and so forth. So typically you're going to park in the shade. So if you have rooftop solar, at that point your rooftop solar is really not going to produce too much when you're parking under trees, so on and so forth. When you have that solar on the side port, now you could have one of those portable solar blankets or solar suitcases, and you can deploy it 10, 15, 20 feet away from where you're parked, and still be able to optimize that solar setup. I have my wife and I actually did a full van conversion. We have a Ford Transit,
Cool.
and I have 350 watts on the roof, and then at the same time, I have a 400-watt solar blanket on the side, and that's all I need, And
Yeah.
with we have the big Rico 400 amp hour battery, and
Wow.
based on our needs and based on what we've been able to do, it keeps up, and my battery's always topped off. It's fantastic.
Yeah, you're set. You're good to
Yeah,
go.
exactly.
Should mention too for those, it's called a solar blanket. It is just that. It's not your typical solar panel that's rigid. This thing folds up, goes into a bag. So it's a little bit different look for those that are unfamiliar with it. All right, you
Yeah,
alluded to it a little bit before too, talking about parking under trees and such. But how can I maximize my solar capabilities once I'm actually at the campground?
yeah, and then to talk on the solar blanket, let me pull up this
Sure,
visual real
sure.
quick, and I can share. So I'm going to stop sharing this, and then I'm going to present this one. I tend to think I'm kind of, like a DJ over here when I'm on StreamYard. So let's make
You got
sure
the
I'm
headsets.
doing.
You got the look.
Yeah, cool. Do you see the screen with the
We
solar
do. We
blanket?
do. Here we go.
Fantastic. So this is kind of what we were alluding to with the solar blanket. They're fantastic. I mean, this is our newest one. This is in our new product catalog that we just released this year. So it came out actually quarter 2 of this year. So it's brand new. And there's a lot of different, renditions out there. We have a 200 and a 400. This is a 200. This is the 400. The 400 is the one that I have, and
Yeah.
it's great, man. You roll it out. It's lightweight. You when you're done with it, you stow away. You put it behind your seat, and at that point it's just completely deployable where you want. You could chase the sun throughout the day, and you're really going to optimize that solar production throughout the day. I mean, this thing, it has a backpack strap too, which is really cool. So for camping, I'm a avid camper. My wife and I, we've done backpacking. So something like this, you could take, those portable power stations are pretty popular nowadays that you see from Jacker Eagle Zero, a Blue Yeti, all these different ones. You can go up to the peak of a mountain with one of these suitcases and one of those portable stations, and you'll be good to go. So it's pretty cool to see these solar blankets.
Cool.
I can stop
All right.
sharing. Go back.
Okay. So kind of get back to the previous question. When you're at the campground, what do you need to do to make sure you're taking advantage of all that solar you just bought from Renogy?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the biggest thing is making sure you don't have any obstructions, So, uh, any kind of shading is really going to affect the solar production through in and throughout. So, you want to make sure, first of all, any kind of, especially if you're somewhere where you might get mud, if you're doing off-roading, it might get on the roof, or somewhere where there's a lot of bird droppings. You just want to make sure that there is, a clear, it's a tempered glass structure. So you want to make sure that that top layer of that tempered glass is clean. So you are getting that direct sunlight to those solar cells. And then when you're at the campsite, anything that you have, I would say before you go out on a trip, use your water hose, a power washer, anything like that, just to get any kind of grime that typically when your RV is sitting, I know, tree sap or, birds like to, hey, look at that solar panel. Let's, take a drop right on that solar panel. So having a clean solar panel, and then having direct sunlight is really the best recommendation from our end.
Is chipping or breaking of that glass a problem?
Yeah, definitely. So these panels, they are guaranteed for 25 years of production, but it is a tempered glass, and at the same time, it's pretty hefty, it's pretty sturdy and robust. It can handle up to a golf ball size hail. But yeah, I mean, throughout the country, there's some places that get, larger than golf ball size hail. So if that panel gets cracked or damaged, anything like that, basically that panel has to be replaced. That's not something that would be covered under the warranty. That's something that eventually that panel, it probably will still produce, but eventually water corrosion is going to get in there. It's probably going to short out one of the circuits, and then that panel is going to stop operating. So our recommendation is, hey, swap that panel out, get a new one, and your whole solar array will be up and running and good to go again.
Well, speaking of regions, how about our region? Is it a problem to have a foot of snow on top of that thing in the wintertime?
Yeah, same thing. Any kind of obstruction on that panel, you want to go ahead and take that snow off. And once you have that snow off, if it does start snowing, the nice thing about the solar panels, they do emit heat. So when you are getting good direct sunlight, even in the snowy conditions, if snow hits it's going to melt off and go away. So I would say in the morning, get that snow off. Let those panels absorb that sun, and then you'll be good for that whole day.
What about for storage, though? Is that a
Uh,
problem?
No, not at all. We haven't heard anything storage weight wise. From our standpoint, we should be good to go. We really don't have any other recommendations on for storage on the solar panels.
You mentioned you've seen a lot in 9 years at Renogy. What's next for solar in the RV industry specifically?
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about the bifacial panels. That was pretty new a couple of years ago. Yeah, I've been in the company 9 years, so when I started, lithium wasn't a thing. That was still in the conception. So now lithium is huge. What we're introducing and what the market's introducing, the newest technology of inverters. There's high frequency inverters, so the inverter is a lot more lightweight. That for the inverter charger, it's going to be at the same time a smaller footprint. We're at a commodity in these mobile applications, so we want to make sure that our size and weight is at a minimum on everything that we're adding. So everything's just getting lighter. Everything's getting a little bit more compact with the advancements of technology. One thing that we really pride ourselves in here at Renogy is keeping up with the Joneses, what we like to say. Keeping up with what's happening in the market. Our CEO is very in tune, with what we're doing. Our team is very in tune with the market, with what's coming out. So we're always keeping up with the demands and trying to come out. We like being the first, to come out with some of this technology. I know we were one of the first with the bifacial panels. Definitely one of the first with the high frequency inverters. You'll start seeing the solid state lithium batteries. So instead of having semi solid, these are solid state. So kind of like the solid state, like laptop hard drives that you see. They're very thin, very small. It's kind of that same technology. So now we're able to manufacture a battery that's very flat. It's actually at like 2.4 inches thick. So you're able to put it, behind your trucks. It's really meant for like 4x4 market or some of the smaller campers. And you just have a lot more options with those smaller solid state batteries. On the solar side, we just released shadow flux panels. That's the latest and greatest. And basically, with the shadow flux panels, they have very high efficient cells. They're up to 25%. And we're using anti shading technology on
Mm.
those solar panels. So basically, what that means, typically on a solar panel, if you get shading across a whole row, either vertically or horizontally, you're kind of canceling out that solar panel. You're opening a circuit of that panel. It's not having that flow of power. So at that point, you're gonna really not generate any power. So with the shadow flux technology, basically every cell acts individually. And we actually have some really good videos on YouTube of side by side comparisons with the shadow flux technology. Because of the efficiency, because of the anti shading technology, the panel's about 7% smaller footprint, 10% smaller in weight, and at the same time, you can get away with having a smaller system now on your roof because it's going to be that much more efficient, and it's going to we saw a side by side comparison with like a 200-watt shadow flux with a 400-watt traditional, and by the end of the day, they were identical in production. So you could get away with having about half the system with those shadow flux panels just based on the efficiency rating and the anti-shading technology. So we're doing a lot over here, and we're very excited to continue, provide it to you guys, give you guys the training on it as well, and for everybody to get it into the customer's hands as well.
Final one for you, more of a statement than a question. Ontario, California sounds lovely.
Yeah, well, I mean, as you can see out here, we're in sunny Southern California. As I said, when I went out there, they sent me. It's funny, I did a lot of my East Coast training, and colder region training in the winter, and I'm like, hey, I'm from Southern California. I can't really survive out here. I remember just packing all my North Face jackets and getting all bundled up. But yeah, no, we're in Southern California. The sun's pretty bright here all the time, so we have a pretty good customer base here. This is where our headquarters is. So we do have warehouses throughout the country, but this is where our main headquarters is, and we love providing this training, providing these Q&As, and teaming up with our partners like Hilltop to make sure that any questions that you guys have, that the customers have, we're here to answer them.
Yeah, again, I think our customers are really lucky to be able to have some expertise right there at the dealership. Not everybody's that lucky. It's complex, and I'm not saying that to bag on some dealerships, because it's tough. We only have one real expert, right?
Yeah.
We have people that know stuff, but we have one guy that can talk with anybody. So if people don't have that dealership at their beck and call, are there direct resources from Renogy that people can get more answers and be beyond this conversation here?
Yeah, definitely. So let me pull up this page.
Sure.
I'll share it with you. So our website is great. It's a great resource. Also, our YouTube page. We have a lot of resources on there. I'm kind of the Renogy YouTube star, so you see a lot of videos of me, which is really funny. But at the same time, it's good. A lot of great resources. We've worked with a lot of our partners, a lot of our ambassadors, a lot of real world experiences, real world scenarios as well. At the same time, we have a great learning resource center on our website. So you can go on here. So here's our website. And you can see we're already promoting our the blanket and some of our newer stuff. So it's Prime Day right now, so all that stuff
Yeah.
is going on. And then if we go here to learn, we could go to our learning center, and you see all these different. We have groups, there's a lot of different threads. You could go in and see what other customers are experiencing, and you could type in questions to see if it relates to you, and you could probably get a straight answer. At the same time, we have a really cool learning center. We have spent a lot of time and resources on this just to make sure that we do have this available at your fingertips. I know some people like nerding out on this stuff, myself included, and I've helped the team build this, so it's pretty cool. You can say I'm new to solar, what are we doing? Hey, we're in the RV trailer coach bus, and then you could type in what are we trying to do, what's a MPPT charge controller? You could type in MPPT. It kind of shows you different charge controllers. I'm not too sure about solid state. He just said solid state. You can type in solid state, and then it just brings up different articles and different things that we have. Also videos like let's see, solar install. And you can see here's right here the shadow flux that I was just talking about, So there's a lot of different articles. You could just type in stuff, or you could also just go through the different tabs, and you can bore you could bore yourself and get really into solar and off-grid energy, solar basics, the glossary. So we have it there for you. I definitely welcome everybody to go on here and expand your knowledge in this category. It's not going anywhere. If anything, it's just continuously growing, and we're excited to grow with you guys.
Fantastic. Stephen, great job, man. I see why you're the YouTube star. I am too. I'm the YouTube star of our Hilltop stuff. It gets me into a lot of nightclubs for free.
There you go.
Um, Not really.
Yeah.
RVs and solar, man. I don't think that really gets us into a lot of nightclubs for free. But
Yeah.
cool,
I mean,
man. Yeah,
we're in the good sense for a lot of our viewers. You know, people see us, they recognize us when they go to the dealer. I'm sure they're going to see you. I go to trade shows, people see me and they're like,
cool.
"Hey, I learned stuff from you." You know, so that's all I need. You know, our customer base is awesome.
Well, you're great at what you do. Thanks so much for joining us with this, and I'm already kind of looking forward to the next time. Hopefully, we get another chance to do this. Okay.
Sounds good. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, John.
All right, Stephen Clifton from Renogy. Of course, you can get the Renogy products at our Hilltop parts stores. Again, Alexandria, Brainerd, Fridley, and Rochester, some of the biggest parts stores in the state. Great connections to our good friends at Renogy, including Stephen. And if you're in the Fridley store, Chris, we've got other experts at our Brainerd, Rochester, and Alexandria stores as well. Chris is at the Fridley store. So if you got solar questions, we're here to answer them for you at Hilltop Camper and RV. Thanks a lot for watching.